Hey! Hey everybody, Donna Schwartz here, and I'm live. It's my first Facebook Live, and I'm so glad you could join me. So I'm going to be working out some kinks with this one, and I'm used to Periscope, so Facebook Live is pretty new to me, but I'm really excited, and I'm glad that you're able to join me. So who am I? I'm Donna Schwartz. I'm a musician. I play saxophones and trumpet. I'm an educator. I taught for many years in public schools in New York, and I'm also coaching out here in California where I live now. I'm also a speaker, and I also have a radio show on the BAM radio network. So before I begin, I want to talk today about a really funny, I think it's funny, you may not, but I think it's really funny, a really funny story that you'll never forget, especially if you're a woodwind player. But before I do that, I've got a special offer going on my website, DonnaSchwartzmusic.com, S-C-H-W-A-R-T-Z if you're wondering how to spell that. So it's DonnaSchwartzmusic.com. In fact, I have the link in the title of this broadcast. The link is DonnaSchwartzmusic.com/blog/woodwind-reeds-reedjuvenate. That's REEDJUVINATE. Special offer. Those people that are not members of my website can subscribe. If you subscribe soon, today, this month, you'll get a 10% discount on the Rejuvenate product, which I'm going to talk about in a minute. All right, on to the story. I told you I taught for many years in public schools on Long Island and in New York City. Well, this was a story told to me by one of my student teachers, and every year I tell this story. It just as a background, I love jokes. Okay, I love telling jokes. I love playing pranks on my fellow teachers. So this story though, I love to tell because I tell it to my students, but when I taught in elementary school, I especially told it to my beginner woodwind students. Here's why. Okay, here's the story. So my student teacher told this to me. He heard this firsthand from his other cooperating teacher. There was a girl that played clarinet. She was in either 8th, 10th grade, I forget which, but this is a true story, by the way. Okay, so she played clarinet, and she was having a problem getting a sound out. All right, so as a band director, what do? You take the clarinet, you look at it, you look if there's any, like, you know, popped springs or loose screws or... sorry about that, my wireless connection was going a little wonky. So anyway, you know, the teacher looked over the clarinet and, well, nothing wrong with it. But then he looked at the reed. Okay, now some of you are going to start to get grossed out. Awesome. Here it is. He looked at the reed and it was all shades of colors. Now, you know what that means when it's like all shades of colors, right? I mean, if it's like pink or green or black, that's not good, okay? Chips are bad things too, but different colors, just nasty, just really, really nasty. So he said to her, when was the last time you changed the reed? And what did she do? Well, she just looked at him. So the story gets worse actually from there. So obviously she hasn't changed her reed in a very, very long time. Okay, so here's the deal. I don't remember if it was the teacher who had the courage, notice how I said the word courage, if the teacher had the courage or if he made the student do it. I would make the student do this. But they removed the reed from the clarinet mouthpiece. Lo and behold, in that lovely clarinet mouthpiece were maggots. If that isn't disgusting, I don't know what is, okay? So what's the moral of the story? Well, take the reed off the mouthpiece, please, for your health. I mean, on a serious note, there's been a lot of studies that have shown that people that don't clean their mouthpieces out have gotten really, really sick, have gotten really, you know, not necessarily lung cancer, but really, really bad cases of respiratory diseases and stuff like that. So really, you got to take the reeds off and you got to clean your mouthpiece, okay? By the way, can you all hear me? If you can hear me, do me a favor, just write something in the comments. It'll help me also to see, you know, how these comments work on this Facebook Live. So if you can hear me, just give a shout out, say, hey, you know, I see that BJ's here. Awesome, very cool. I know I'm putting this on a time that may not be great for the West Coast peoples, but my former New York folks, it's like 7 p.m.-ish, so it would be really cool for you to definitely check this out. All right, so that story is the Maggots and the Mouthpiece story, and like I mentioned before, I love playing jokes, I love doing pranks, but that story, it definitely grosses out people, but I do tell this story to my beginner woodwind players. In fact, I always waited until right before they had lunch to tell it. Because it has an effect, because every time that you put that clarinet or that saxophone away, you're going to take that reed off when you remember this Maggots and the Mouthpiece story. Okay, so I want to mention again that offer that's going on my website. You get 10% off your Rejuvenate offer if you subscribe to my website at donnaschwartzmusic.com, and the link should be in this Facebook Live thing as well. Or you just go to my website and scroll down and look for the latest blog. It's about rejuvenating your reeds, and you'll see it. Just click on there and you'll get the information there. Okay, I wanted to talk about storing your reeds. Now, classically, people have put their reeds in like those 2 or 4 pack reed containers, or they use the reed cases that come with the reeds. Those are pretty cool. But I know for me, I lived all my life in New York, and there's humidity there. My hair can definitely attest to that. I mean, it would be out here like all the time. You know, I probably use like pounds of product in my hair. Anyway, in New York, the only time I had problems with my reeds, like squeaking and stuff, was in the wintertime when it got a lot drier. And at the time, I didn't know what the hell was going on. I'm sitting there thinking, I wet the reed. Why is this thing squeaking like crazy? It was driving me nuts. So then I went to synthetic reeds for a while. I was playing the Leger studio cuts. But then I changed my setup, my embouchure setup, my mouthpiece setup, and I wanted to go back to the cane reeds. Again, I was having that problem with the squeaking reeds. It was driving me nuts. It was terrible. To the point where one gig I was playing and I was recording it, it was a mess. It was an absolute mess. The recording was just shot to hell. So at the time, I had checked out the best saxophone website ever. Awesome site to check out. Shout out to Donna Orenstein for an awesome site. I joined that site, I subscribed, and when I subscribed, I either purchased or as the freebie, I got access to some interviews with some great players and teachers. One of them was Ricky Sweum, S-W-E-U-M, okay, Ricky Sweum. He was talking about how he lives in Colorado where it's really dry, and he was always having a problem with the reeds. You know, the reeds drying out really quickly. So he came up with a solution. His solution was this, okay? And I have a whole YouTube video about this. I have, on my website, I have a page about this, talking about this. What this is a waterproof WITZ, W-I-T-Z, container. You can get this on Amazon. Because I mostly play tenor, I've got the larger one. This is the 6-inch, 6-inch by, I think, 1-inch size. Okay, so it's around $13. Inside here are my tenor reeds, and this is like a 4-case. And I also have a couple of alto reeds in here too, a 2-case. But what else is in here was really important. It's Listerine. It's not water. You store your reeds in water, you'll get mold. Gross. Ew. Okay, so Listerine. But here's the thing though, and I knew this, but I didn't know the reasons why until I interviewed James Mackey from, John Mackey from Rejuvenate. I use original Listerine, you know, the one that everybody can't stand. I use the original Listerine. Now, I was using it because it wouldn't turn my reeds like all shades of blue and green. I mean, I'm really not into that, you know. It can look kind of cool, you know, especially since I have a, you know, a gold mouthpiece, but I didn't want to go there. But anyway, I used the original Listerine. And the key to this is that you really have to change out the Listerine at least once a week. You know, you've got to do that because then, you know, your germs get in there and it gets all disgusting and stuff like that. And the other thing too is that the Listerine does evaporate over time. Now, I'll tell you that these are awesome containers. People use these when they go swimming. They have smaller ones to hold your credit cards. They definitely are waterproof. But I'll tell you though, the last one I had, and I had one that lasted maybe 2 years or so, for some reason the clip broke. And then I was really stuck. I had to wait till the order came in for another one of these. But I've used this solution for a long time. It's really awesome. But here's the thing though with this. It's bulky. It's a little heavy. it gets a little messy. It gets a little wet. You saw me when I pulled out my reeds. It was like dripping all over the place. I'm used to it by now. You know, so it's kind of a pain in the neck. And I have to, again, I have to clean it out and change the Listerine once a week. Now, the thing though is this. The good thing about this, I could store a lot of reeds. I could do 4 tenor reeds, 2 alto, probably 4 bari, 2 alto. You know, it's awesome. I could store a lot of reeds in this. And it's only, figure, $13 for the case. And then you got your reed cases. These things are what, maybe $3 each or something like that. So it's a pretty economical solution. But Rejuvenate. I've seen the ads and I'm thinking, oh, but my solution's good enough, you know, and I don't want to put the money out for something that, you know, I don't know if it's going to work. Here's the thing though, I had to travel to New York in April, and I thought to myself, is this going to get on the plane? You know, in my instrument case? I don't think so. This is probably more than the allowed amount of liquid. So I said, you know what? I don't want to be dealing with that, and I don't want to be dumping out the Listerine. So I looked into Rejuvenate, and I bought it. And what's really cool about this one, it's airtight, okay? It's small. This is really light. I could carry it around my neck if I wanted to. Oh, by the way, it also has a magnet in here. So I've got my iPad right now on a mic stand. I could just stick it to the mic stand, and there it is, okay? But what's really cool is that I play tenor mostly, so I could fit 3 tenor reeds in here. And what's cool is that they're labeled. If you could think of it labeling this way. Blue is good, right? White is okay. Red is, it's all right. So like 1, 2, and 3. So you got your reeds labeled already. Now, what makes this special, you see the magnet right here. Okay, what makes this really special though, is that there's a triangular shaped sponge in here. I think on one of my recent videos I said it was a square shaped sponge. I don't know, I don't drink, I don't know what I was thinking. It's a triangular shaped sponge. Anyway, what you do, there's 2 ways to do this. You could take the sponge out and you could soak the sponge in original Listerine. Now let me do the side note here. Why original Listerine? What John was explaining to me is this. If you use Listerine that has like the blue Listerine or the mint or whatever, there's sorbitol in there. It's a type of sugar. All right, so we're okay with that sugar. But guess what? Bacteria loves to feed on sorbitol. So the great thing about this system, and even mine, if you use original Listerine, it keeps your reeds germ-free. If you use the colored Listerines, not only will it turn your reeds certain colors, but bacteria is going to form in there. Okay, so you want to get away from that, all right? So definitely use original Listerine. Now, what you can do, all this stuff comes out in here. Let me just get this a little bit more lined up. All this stuff comes out, okay? And you can put a little bit of Listerine in here, or what you can do is take the sponge out. Let me get this all lined up. You could take the sponge out, soak the sponge for like 5 or 10 minutes in original Listerine, and then stick it back in. I like to do this though. I like my reeds, because it's really dry here in LA, I like to pour Listerine over this whole contraption, and then I close this up airtight, and I let that sit for about 10-20 minutes or so. And then after the 20 minutes or so, then I'm going to pour out almost all the Listerine. I'll leave like maybe a drop left in there. I tend to like my reeds more wet than, dry. But here's the thing though, for you, you can control the humidity of your reeds in this container. Because what you can do, you could soak that sponge for less time, maybe 5 minutes. You could also soak it for 10 minutes and then squeeze out a lot of the moisture in the sink and then put the sponge in. And it still works. It still keeps the reeds from getting germs and all that kind of stuff. And what's really cool about this, and I said this on the BAM radio interview with John, it's almost like you're making your cane reeds synthetic, instantly playable when you think about it. And the cool thing, as John said, well, there's so many, now the synthetic reeds are awesome. Don't get me wrong. I've used them for many years. But if you like cane, this gives you so many options. Because I'm going to tell you, I pull out a reed, I'm able to play. I've seen guys out here that have, hey Fahim, I've seen guys out here that have soaked a reed in their mouth for a half an hour before they're playing. And I'm thinking to myself, oh my God, what? You know, just use something like this. It's so much easier. It's so much better. So, you know, the cool thing about Rejuvenate, also my contraption, it's germ-free, okay, and it keeps your reeds instantly playable. Now, some people will argue that, why are you keeping your reeds wet? You're waterlogging them. No, I'm not. Here's the thing. If you have your reeds stored dry, like let's say you use this kind of situation, okay, this kind of reed case, which I used for a long time. Now, these are pretty cool. It's the Rico cases with the humidity packs in here, okay? Now, mine's dried out, okay? So I would have to change this, but you notice I have 72% humidity. These are fine too, but I found in New York, and even here, it just wasn't good enough. It didn't make the reeds instantly playable. But here's the thing though. You want your reeds to be in one state. If your reeds go from dry to wet, dry to wet, dry to wet, you're actually wearing them out. You're wearing out the cane a lot quicker. You're better off leaving them in a somewhat of a wet state. And again, with the Rejuvenate, because you can control the humidity better than, you know, I'll call it my contraption. It's not really mine. It's Ricky Swiam's idea. You know, I could maybe put less Listerine in here. That would be fine. But this is a little bit better. It's a little handier. Because you can control the humidity in this, you can control how wet you want the reeds. And I gotta tell you, the other thing too that I found, Ricky was saying in the interview that I listened to, his reed, he had one reed that lasted 5 years. No jokes. He says this on the interview. And I was like, what? Yeah. Now, he didn't, you know, he doesn't bring it out on gigs, but he uses it for practicing and stuff like that. So your reeds will last a really long time, which means to you, ka-ching, you're saving money, okay, which I love to do. I always tell my students my favorite word is free, my next favorite word is cheap, okay? So buying this, investing in this, will make your reed expenses a lot less. Trust me on that one. Okay, so guys, if there's any, there's going to be the replay available of this. So, you know, in the replay comments and stuff like that, let me know what other topics you want me to discuss. Thank you to those of you that have joined me live, Facebook Live. And please check out my website, DonnaSchwartzMusic.com. Check out my latest blog post. It's how to rejuvenate your reeds, make them last longer, and be germ-free. And if you're not a member of my website, sign up and you get a 10% discount on Rejuvenate. I'm telling you, it's really worth it. I'm not an endorser. I should say that. I'm really not. But when I find things I like, I promote them. I'm promoting this, okay? Just like I mentioned before, I mentioned the best saxophone website ever by Duran Ornstein. Great site. You got to check it out. And I learned about this from that. So, you know, I'm not an endorser, but definitely check that out. Okay, so Rejuvenate. Check it out. Check out my website. And on that note, take care. Have a great day, guys.